Okay, this is David with Mr. DIY Solar as well as Tennessee Valley Solar. I came up last night with my truck and IBC tanks and lumber, and I'm working on upgrading my solar system. I have set up a 2,000 watt hybrid system inside. My existing system is connected to these panels right here, and I'm going to look at building a temporary array just sort of leaning against the side of the cabin right here to try to get some afternoon sun, which will be connected to the inverter that's inside. I've got my generator here. It's 2,500 watts, but produces about 1,850 when it's running. That generator used to connect to this extension cord that's laying on the ground here that goes up into the cabin, and that had gone over and powered the refrigerator and air conditioning and the space heater that I've been running this weekend since it's been chilly. I had cut that extension cord so I can run it through the hole in the floor, and I had wired nutted that back together again. I've disconnected those wire nuts so that I can connect this extension cord to the hybrid inverter inside that we're about to go in and take a look at. This extension cord here connects to the AC input of the inverter that's inside so that this generator can power the inverter and charge the batteries. And so I'm really excited to give that a shot. So I'm about ready to test running the inverter off of just the batteries, and then I'm going to connect the extension cord to the generator and test running off of that. So we'll see how that works. And this is that inverter running. This is the extension cord we were just looking at. This is the input that comes up through the floor over there. Connects the input side. The output side is connected here. The batteries are connected. There's no solar connected to the inverter yet. All the solar is coming in through that charge controller there. And that charge controller and this hybrid inverter are both connected to the batteries. I've got 4 12-volt batteries set up right now. And it's, if I can get this thing to focus, it says the battery is full, and it's outputting 120 volts. We're going to go do a load test on the system. This green extension cord comes up here, and this meter is telling me how much power I'm running. It's 110 watts right now, which is mostly for this fan. And once I turn on, I'm going to test the microwave in a second. Right now I'm just sort of a redneck series of extension cords run together. Soon I hope to be able to drill holes in the floor and pull actual power up through the floor and connect that to surface mounted plugs and have a real set of power installed here. So that's one of my next projects after I get the power solid. So We are going to run this for a couple minutes. Start that. And we are now pulling 1200 watts, which that's pulling that off of these batteries. The generator is not currently running. And now this 2000 watt system is telling me that we are consuming about 3/4 of the system, and batteries have dropped down a little bit. Batteries are down to 23.8, so we've dropped down about a volt. But the voltage on the batteries is staying pretty stable, so it's not like it's draining these batteries down super quick. So I'm going to let this run, and I've got about 20 seconds or 15 seconds left on the 2 minutes that I put on this microwave, and so I'm gonna stop this, and that started to warm that up. I'm gonna go finish microwaving that and start the generator up and see how that, if that charges the batteries back up again off the generator. Okay, so I have started my generator, and batteries were run down a little bit. I'm running a 1500 watt space heater right now, and the generator's on. It's showing I've got an AC input of 116 volts and 60 hertz. No PV input because I haven't hooked up my solar panels yet. Not using any battery. Batteries charged up now, and shows that it's in bypass, which means it's just bringing straight from the input and sending it straight to the output without using any of the battery power for the load right now. I'm going to need to take a look at my settings so that I can try to force it to use a little bit more of the battery power at the same time here. Sun just came out, so the input on this charge controller should be making plenty of power now. Yeah, we're bringing in 14 amps. .57 volts coming in, 14 amps coming in, so that's just about perfect for those 4 panels. Those 4 panels are in 2 series, 2 parallel. They're 30 volt panels that produce 8 amps, so that's why we're at 60 volts, and the 14 amps So this is looking good, so I'm charging my batteries and powering through this big inverter off the generator. So I'm going to go set up this inverter to be connected to several panels, and that will further help charge the batteries. Now I'm going to go knock that out and add an update to that once I've got some of that done. Okay, I have now set up these additional 4 panels, and they are all wired together and connected to the inverter inside. It's not the prettiest solar array I've ever put together. It's designed to be kind of temporary until I can get the rest of everything cleaned up enough where I'm going to put in my permanent array. We are clearing out the trees in this area, and we're going to build the array kind of where those 4x4s and PVC is propped at in that general area. And I'm going to take down all of these panels and move them over there and get them all set up over there. These 2 panels are connected in series, and those 2 panels are connected in series, and then these 2 different pairs are paralleled together with a 2-way set of parallel cables. Which are right here. So these 2 panels are connected together, and then one cable, the positive on that one is connected to this one, and then this is the positive off of the this other array. So that's the 2-way branch splitter cable for it's connecting that set of panels and that set of panels together, and then they are connecting back, and then the power positive and negative is running over there and up through the floor right there. I'm kind of getting all this cleaned up. I also have 12-volt power coming down from upstairs that comes off. I'm going to be running power through the ground and up into this barn, so I can have 12-volt and 120-volt AC. I'm going to bring down one of these posts right here through the ground and over there, so I can put lights and cameras on that barn. I have a friend that's running his tractor and trying to smooth the driveway out a little bit. Gonna clean up this chert that's been moving around on me, and gonna be extending our fence out a little bit some here. Alright, and I'm gonna go show the inverter inside that's connected to those 4 panels I just set up. And here we are inside, looking at the inverter. It's now showing that it has solar power coming in, and the power is going into the battery. With thought that the charge light would have been blinking. So I have 54 volts coming in off the solar, and about 500 watts 550 watts, which is not surprising as the sun is setting. However, those panels are facing east or west, so they should be facing into the afternoon sun. Well, this should be charging these batteries. I've got 2 more deep cycle batteries that I'm going to set up here, connected into this array of batteries, so I'll have 6 of them, which will bring in another 1200 watts of power that I can store in my batteries, and trying to get it to where I can run microwaves and refrigerators and stuff for a good chunk of the day without being on running my generator. And right now we're pulling 1400 watts. The refrigerator's on, and this little space heater is on. I turn that space heater down. That fan is still on, but now I am pulling 148 watts, and the battery should be charging good now. I hope to be able to run this power over to this barn today, so I'll be able to start putting up lights and whatnot over there. If I can get any of that done, I'll add that update to this video. Alright, well, thanks. Okay, this is David again, Mr. DIY Solar, Tennessee Valley Solar, and this is a quick update to tack on here. I have got some 8 gauge THHN and some 12 gauge Romex here that I've tied together. It's connected to a pull string on one end, and it's going to pull another pull string through that I'm going to leave in here. I've got some 2-inch that all of this power is going to run through. And then I've got some shielded Ethernet that's going to be coming that I'm going to run through the little piece of white PVC there. And hopefully the shielding will make it so that the Ethernet is not bothered by running so close to the power here. And I'm going to pull this through this gray EMT here and up this post and over, connect all that over here with the power that's over there. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled through. Also, I'm going to pull it through into the barn right here. I've got a box here that I'm going to pull all my DC. The 8 gauge THHN is going to be for the DC, and that's going to pull up into this box, and out of this box I'll be able to run DC lights and everything, and then I'm going to have another box that I'm going to put the Romex in. Alright, well, I'm going to get this pulled through, and I'll tack on an update when I get that done. Alright, this is going to be my last update. About to ready to head out for the evening. Make my drive back to my main house. I have sort of mostly protected this. It's probably not to code, but whatever. There's 2 conduit PVCs that come up here. One's got the DC power and one's got the AC power. And they come up and come over here. I'm going to run the eight gauge is going to connect to those two bus bars there. And then this Romex is going to go up through the floor and connect to a breaker box that I'm going to mount inside. And that will be my inside AC breakers. And that breaker box will connect to the inverter, which will supply all the power to the breaker box. I've got all these panels wired up and all the wires are secured, and those are producing power connected to the hybrid inverter that I have inside, and these 4 panels are connected to the smaller charge controller I have in there. Unfortunately, I didn't get as much done this weekend as I thought I was going to. I never do. I always have big plans and it doesn't quite work out the way I expected to, but oh well. So this wire goes down there and through that trench and comes up inside. I haven't terminated it inside yet, but once I do, I'll be able to have AC and DC power in the barn to power lights and have plug sockets in there and that kind of thing. Anyway, well, I appreciate it, and I hope this has been useful.